I'm just going to shut up and watch and just kind of let you get in your groove. If you want to commentate as you go for it. But I would say just go focus mode and just play your normal game. And I'm just going to kind of have a little brainstorm and write notes and think about it. And then after I've watched you play, I should have a good feel and we can have a bit of a chat between the games. For now, just get in your groove. 2-base Muta, kick some ass. Good luck, man.
All
right. They're installing all the NSA approved bugs for sure. Thank you, Burgett, earlier, by the way, with that tip, and everybody who supported today. If I did miss anyone, apologies. I think I called everyone out, like Automitis, Josh Taylor with the gifted subs. Thank you, everybody. So the problem things there, 13, 12, that's just tighten the response, you know. Save a replay if that ever happens again is what I'm writing. And we can go over it. But it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So 3-base Muta, I mean, this is something that a really clean play will always be able to get ahead of us with. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. So basically most Railgun builds they're so deep on the tech and so late on the hatcheries and production. You don't really have the same flexibility. So you've got to really have a good understanding of what the right tech choice is in each scenario. And how to kind of shift. And there's a lot of trying to trick your opponent, I would say, and trying to get them to do the wrong thing. We'll see how this goes. I don't really know. Like, +1 melee while going up to mutas on 2-base, I've always gone, ugh.
I see drones coming out, which is good.
Well, I've always been a little grossed out by
scout
that.
These lings, see what's up.
But it can work. It's just so
sets of
different
lings.
to me. Even when I play 2-base Muta, the idea of getting upgrades with it and pushing my third hatch back even further is like, oh, really? So that's probably going to be my criticism. Yeah. Okay. Wait, why? Can we go 4 queens by default? Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Oh, yeah. This is like what Jim Rising does. I fucking hate this build. I think every time I play against this, I get so confused. So it's really good because it's confusing. It's like, wait, why are you massing queens and going mutas? But the mutas are really quite, like, they're really quite late for 2-base muta, in my opinion. I feel like, for me, there's 100% urgency on getting the mutas out. With this build, it's like... I want to say it's bad Zerg versus Zerg. Because it basically goes against fundamentals and relies on tricking your opponent and them doing the wrong thing. I feel like this style is actually not very flexible. Because we can't pivot. We can't swap into a Roachnitis off this. We can't swap into mass Speedling because we don't have the lava, really. Like, I get we will always build Speedlings off 2-base, but there is so much onus on them doing damage. Now, we see Roaches out very early. We see no third hatch. So we should know there's an all-in coming. Initial thoughts is too much defense, too much safety at the start, too slow mutas. Those are my 2 things. So already 2-base muta is low on production. But also adding +1 melee so early, as well as the late Spire, makes this super dangerous. It makes this build not even dangerous. It loses its edge, its point, right? It doesn't have a sharp point to it. Its edge. You know, where is the sharp point? Mutas are kind of slow. Melee is kind of slow. Queens don't exert any pressure, and production is low. So my initial thought is that. Now, let's go back to this specific game, because Saw no third base. Saw roaches early. Tried for spines. Probably needed more spines and to let the roaches come a little deeper. Question mark? We can go back and rewind that. I was thinking about the theory, so I wasn't really paying attention to the fight, but yeah, I mean, the power of having this many queens is the spines should never go down because you're transfusing them. So why do we keep going out to fight? Let him come into the choke and engage the spines. Also, if we're going 4 queens, we don't really need a wall off, right? But yeah, that spine, the spines in general should have done so much more in this game. I think he still wins because the opponent has no real follow-up here, but he's got to run drones away very well. The Bane Nest and Evo Chamber are actually tanking a lot. Good drone drill. Mutas are here. Are the Mutas control grouped? They're not. Oh, that's interesting. Are we an F2 boy? We might be an F2 boy. As long as you survive with 20 workers, you're okay here. The opponent's still committing to lings. Like, there is, as bad as this looks, it's absolutely playable. This is such a committed all-in attack. I love the Evo in the wall. I was thinking about that. I was like, come on, build the Evo in the wall. Now, those Mutas need to hunt down these overlords and then keep chasing the units. If he goes straight across the map to the base, especially seeing lings coming out, there's no ling speed! Oh, he went for a speed ling follow-up and he forgot he didn't have ling speed! Oh, shum! Oh, it's so bad. Because if those lings came in now, they'd really force a lot. Okay, so now some units are control grouped. Let's pay attention to what he does when he produces more fighting units. Do they go in the control group or not? Because if not, that's going to be interesting. Hatcheries on 1, random drone on 2, and we've got army on 4 and 5. Yeah, it looks like the Muta's just got control group. So he does control group eggs. That's cool. Yeah, it was just in a messy situation where he wasn't. It's good to know. That's good. Yeah, it looks like he uses camera locations. I'm not sure though.
Mineral field depleted.
Units in the open. Hatch is already so wounded, so going for it's not a bad idea, but please tell me we've got a Baneling at home. Oh, naughty! Naughty. That ling speed kicks in. Those lings could cause us problems. I've seen a lot of lings. I guess because there's no ling speed, we're okay being a bit greedy, but yeah, these lings are going to come across now. How are we going to respond? Oh, come on. He still hasn't walled. What's he doing? Oh, no. Wall off. Those lings are going to do big damage. He's got nothing at home. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Ah, imagine if there was a Baneling. He's going to lose the Spire. You know, his opponent, if he drones here, if Sherm drones, I think Sherm's okay. This is a huge, huge misstep. No Banes or Lings at home. Big counterattack at 8 minutes 30 to 9 minutes. Did big damage. Needed to react a lot faster there. With some Lings, Banes, and potentially an Evo wall-off. I think he's fine because Sherm hasn't really added drones behind this. So Sherm's trying to go Hydras, and Evos. So this is the wrong investments. If you're behind against Mutas, your priority is to just try to get creep between your bases, spores, and get up to like 60 drones. But I mean, Sherm was already so handicapped from being behind early, and 2 queens out in the open. Now with just 1 spore guarding that base, yeah, the Mutas can just pick off the hatch. GG, nice. Very nice. GG, well played.
I thought he had a lot more econ behind that.
Yeah, I think that last wave we definitely made a bit of a misstep there. I guess we saw no ling speed, but should have realized with how many lings there were that it was going to kick in. And then when he ran across that map, we were very slow to make any zerglings or banelings at home.
Yeah.
And we kind of could have evo walled to buy a few seconds, you know, could have made some more things.
Right.
We were a little bit slow on that one. So that one almost let him slip back into this game. But yeah, I mean, he was super all in from the start. In
He
terms of
actually
your...
knows my build.
Yes, I could tell this was very meta. I go straight to the third without even thinking about it and stops at 30 drones and just goes roach speed all in.
Yeah.
So I'm not a big fan of your build order, and we'll come to that in a moment, but let's talk about specifics. Basically, I think this the thing is, let's look at the engagements, because I think you played it really well. But let's look at that engagement. So we do like a queen, baneling nest, evo chamber, wall off with 4 queens here. We spot no third. I mean, so your response here, obviously you see no third, you see roaches coming out real early, and then poop creeping. You go 2 spines. I think that front spine is in a really bad position, is the first thing.
Oh, yeah.
Too close to the wall, right? In general, with your build, because you got 4 queens and a bane nest, I don't think you have any reason to really want a wall off. Obviously, it slows down units coming in, like roaches, but it also gives them choke points where your lings can't surround. So I'm 50-50 on it, but that's something we can talk about later.
What about a ling all in?
You've got 4 queens and a baneling nest. So you are... This is like the safest opening of all time, even without the wall off. Like,
Gotcha.
if you die to a baneling bust, you fucking up your micro real bad. 4 queens is so safe with a baneling nest. That's like mega safe, yeah.
I guess the wall, what I like to do is when they're attacking me, I like to drone. And then just defend with the queens and don't make any additional lings and just try to defend with just the banelings, and that's how I'd get ahead if they did.
Yeah, I mean, that's why if you're comfortable with it, I'm not going to say change it. That's not really the main thing I dislike about the build. So anyway, let's put a pin in that, because this is like a real minute thing. We can like talk about the strengths and weaknesses, and I don't want to tell you it's wrong, but we can talk about it and just understand it better, right? On both sides.
I think it could be more economical if I skipped the evos earlier and just have the 4 queen defense.
Yeah,
because I can have a few more drones out.
Yeah, I mean,
sure.
you definitely don't need the Evo this early. But anyway, the spine crawler shouldn't be there, right? That front spine should probably be, what, like in between the creep tumor and the banelings? Or even right up next to the hatchery, right? So that both spines are kind of in line of the choke point?
Yeah. I think I saw a lot of roaches coming across. I panicked a bit.
Yeah, so if that spine... The thing is, with your queen energy, you should be fine. And then we took quite a few fights here where we kept going out with our lings, when we should be like, no, pull back. Let him come back and through the choke. The spine's got superior range. We should be dropping transfuses on that spine like crazy, right? If we had both spines there, and we just only engaged when he actually engaged into the spine range with our lings, he pulls back, we pull our lings back, that would be great. But we kept chasing him out with our lings like this, which we should not be doing, right? We should be pulling back. Now,
are you watching the replay right now?
Oh, shit. So sorry, dude. I forgot to tell you. Open the stream up. Sorry, I've been doing this so much lately. Yep. Sorry.
No worries.
Open the stream. There will be a 2-second delay. Not very
just
long.
Use like the lings to zone.
Yeah, well, I mean, they engage. If he runs in and lets you surround the roaches, that's great while the spines and queens are hitting him. But let him come in and expose himself to your power units, the spines, the queens, the transfuses. And then the lings will do much better. So what happened is, obviously, we want that spine to be over here. And we want the lings not to be chasing out. Because we did this multiple times. Like, the lings and banes go all the way out. And then he gets to come in. And if lings were surrounding him here, when he runs in, or here, that's where your lings are crazy valuable. Likewise, if that spine was over there, that would have been good. Once again, lings chase too far out. What are we doing? Our queens aren't fighting. You know, they're slow. Let the queens and spines engage. The lings are, a zoning tool. Ideally, sometimes when they first come, they're like, let's go in with my first 7 roaches. Like, the whole push isn't even there. You even hide your lings. And they, like, try to run in, and then you, like, just wrap around them and just kill the first 7 roaches so efficiently. With 2 spines, 4 queens, your zerg's hitting them. And it, like, just, the push is over at that point, which is really, really cool. So, micro-wise, if you're using spines, just try to make sure that's the anchor point a little bit. Past that point, like we said, should have just been a bit quicker to respect that roachling army, and should have probably already made a safety baneling at home or something like that at like 8 minutes, 9 minutes when you ran across. But other than that, I want to go back to talking about the build a bit and why I'm hypercritical of it. So I feel like it lacks a point. So what I mean by that is we're doing a 2-base Muta build, which is rushing tech, and that should be our advantage. When I hit 2-base Muta, I think we're rushing out Mutas, we're going to get them real fast, that's going to fuck our opponent up. The problem with this build is those Mutas aren't very fast. So that's the one thing that I'm mostly hung up on, where if you go 3 queens in a Baneling Nest nice and early, you're super fucking safe. Don't get me wrong, this Baneling Nest is a little late. So what we can
maybe
do...
lair before Bane Nest?
That's one way you can definitely push that advantage. If you're going 3 queens, I think you're already super safe. So I think you're okay to do that. Because check it out. I mean, you don't even start your Baneling Nest on time anyway, right?
Yeah.
You actually have enough gas to start the Baneling Nest and the lair by this point. And that means you're also droning harder. Notice you got a bit of lava hanging out in the early game because you're pumping queens so hard, right? Only slightly, because obviously you were just missing the lava there because you were focusing on those zerglings. But I think that's going to be huge. So
what are your thoughts on the tumor first?
Completely unnecessary if we're going multiple queens and a Baneling Nest on time. So there's a few ways we can do this. We can go lair before Bane Nest. We can also go Bane Nest at 2 minutes 50 of just 2 queens. Even the 3rd queen is already a bit of safety. But basically, either way, we're cutting a queen. Maximum 3 queens, I think, is non-negotiable. If we want to actually do a build that has a sharp point to it, because anytime we're building extra queens, it's like, yeah, we can survive an all-in. That shouldn't really be the danger point. If we're doing a 2-base build, the danger point should be them building a 3rd hatch and destroying us in the mid-game. That's the actual weakness of our build. Now, whether it comes to that on ladder, that's another story, right? A lot of people might just try to kill you. But we can still be safe with less stuff. And against a push like this, if your Spire was down earlier, it would actually have made this just so easy for you. Because your Mutas would have been coming out so much quicker and just slapping it down. I also don't like the idea of going +1 melee on 2-base. I don't mind melee coming in later, but it's like...
After the Mutas are out, maybe.
Yeah, like kind of like just for you, if you want to play Mutiling Bane, which is a great style at the moment, that's good. But basically we're going slow Mutas, slow +1 melee off bad production, and we're being mega safe with 4 queens and a wall off. So I'd like us to cut some corners. So I think first of all, let me write the big changes that I'm certain of that I think you should do. And it's your choice, 100% your choice. Scrap 1 to 2 queens, right? If we want to play real greedy, we can take 2 queens off this build. Scrap 1 to 2 queens. Just 2 to 3 total is fine for safety. The other one is delay melee till after 3rd base / Spire is on the way. Then you can start your Evo chamber, then you can squeeze that in at some point. We'll see what works. And trying to get fast in Mutas is probably what I'd want to focus on as well. Now, this does drastically change what you're doing in the opening, though. So, if we go straight for the lair before Bane Nest, we're beelining towards those Mutas. We got to be real tight with those 3 queens because our Bane Nest is going to be down at about this time. And we're going to be doing this without the wall off. The other big change that I'm certain of is 2 injects first, no matter what, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you get the good proper wall off without a tumor on most maps?
It really is map dependent. Yeah. I mean, I don't actually know which wall off you can do it, which ones you can't, because you really shouldn't have to defend with a wall off though if you've got 3 queens. So even a dedicated Ling Bane all in, assuming you've seen them expand, of course. So that's starting about 340 usually, 345, 350. Getting closer to 4 minutes around that point. If we want to play very safe, because you're not going to be comfortable without the wall off, we can just go the Bane Nest, then the lair. It's still going to be a faster lair than what you're getting here, because you're waiting for the 4th queen, which is even more. You'd still get your lair started probably about 3:15, I believe. Because if we look at your gas, do you pull off gas at all with this build?
No.
Yeah, so about 3:12, 3:10, something like that, we get the gas for a lair after Baneling Nest. So you could go a Baneling Nest at 2 minutes 50, then we'll have 2 Banes, pair of queens at the natural, and if our opponent escalates, obviously we can add another spine, another queen, or just leave it and just build it like 6 more zerglings and make some more Banes off a quick second gas.
Gotcha.
but it's up to you to choose what comfort zone. So which of these options do you like? I mean, first of all, are you happy to try the double inject and scrap the wall off?
Yeah, I like the double inject. I think that would make me delay the bait nest a little bit, just because I like to get it in that spot versus like one hex off the hatch. Do you know what I mean? Like dropping the baneling nest right next to the hatchery.
Sorry.
I like that spot for the bane nest. So I would have to wait for creep.
Yeah, that's not gonna. I mean, the thing is, you could do it here. So here, as long as you put it at 250, if you look at your creep spread, you can still put it out front and then add a wall around it later. So you can still use it as a walling off baneling nest.
Gotcha.
But it's like non-negotiable though, because it's going to be what you're relying your safety on rather than this wall off. So the wall off has been kind of like a lazy way of defending, but it's really safe. It's really good. It's just you need those banes right on time, or you're going to get ruined by bane timings, right? Because you're not used to defending without a wall off. So it's a different sort of defense. So in general as well, if you delay that bane nest past 250, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Most builds I'm up against is like a 3 hatch, like Ling Brilliant early pressure.
Yeah. So you need it started 250, the standard bane nest timing. So I would say just like put it in the middle and then do a wall around that. Is that fine? Like if you put a bane nest out here?
Yeah, I usually press like the Evo, see what like build grid is, and then drop it one below where an Evo would be.
Yeah, that should work. All right. So we want to go bane nest 2 minutes 50 straight into lair at 100 gas. Okay. And then we're going to scrap the Evo chamber as well for now, yeah?
Yeah, can I keep the third queen?
Yeah, keep the third queen. Lair at 100 gas. Third queen ASAP on natural, right? Because your main's going to be your lair usually. When do you take your second gas?
I take the second and third gas at the same time around like 340.
About 340, hey?
330, 340.
I think with this, we'd probably want to go second gas quicker. Make sure we can start that spire because your lair is going to be quicker, right? Especially if we have to make some banes. We probably just want to get a second gas nice and quick and then hit the drones hard behind it. Obviously, this is changing a lot of things. It's a big change up. But we would probably drop it same time the lair starts. So it'd be about 315.
Yeah, depending on how many banes I make.
Yeah, you might want to squeeze a quick third gas out as well. But usually if there's lots of aggression, even a second gas and you're like non-stop making banes, and then your lair's done, you're like, I've only got 100 gas. It's fine. Your opponent's crashing Ling Bane into you. As long as you're not losing drones, like you are winning, right? Even if your spire gets delayed. So, all right. So lair plus second gas. At 100 gas plus second gas goes down. Okay. All right. So I think that's going to make your build have a bit more of a sharp edge to it. Because I kind of feel like the build before it was just a little bit too slow to assert yourself. So... 2 base muta in generally, you should always be a little worried about someone who just takes that third, drones up real good, gets, scouts with an overseer or whatever, and then just has the lava advantage. And with what you were doing here, you had no way you could counter it, like no pivot. You couldn't instantly get quick mutas out to control because your spire wasn't that quick. Your Ling flood with the melee wasn't that quick. It felt like it was just I wasn't sure how you could punish a greedy opponent.
Yeah. So with this build, I usually delay the mutas a bit and get like a ton of +1 speedlings, but then I'm usually forced in a position where I have to do damage.
Yeah, 2 hatch melee speedling is like one of the fundamentally worst builds ever. It's great because if people don't see it coming and don't expect it, it's a good surprise maneuver, right? People aren't necessarily expecting a Ling flood when you haven't really been active early in the game. But it becomes incredibly committed because your production is bad and you've just built a bunch of the least lava efficient units in the game, right? So whenever I face that, I always go, oh, this is fundamentally... I don't like getting too obsessed with, I've got to play solid, it's got to be reliable. But it's a massive commitment and it's not sharp, right? I'm like, man, if you're gonna commit hard and need to do damage, make it hit at a crisp timing. And your melee is never going to hit at a crisp timing with a lot of zerglings. Obviously, this game was different because shit's happening. But, all right. So we'll try out more of a fast 2 base muta build here.
I have a question.
Yep.
Let's say, like, I'd go for this 2 base muta, and then he goes for 3 base and makes 0 roaches and has, like, perfect defense, like queens and spores with no roaches. Am I behind at that point?
I mean, it really just depends on the details. In general, because your opponent should be able to get ahead. Yes. Yeah, I mean, a 3-base build, a bigger economy build is always just going to be the one that gets you ahead if you play well enough. But that's the thing, if someone plays well enough. So even at pro level, you'll still see like Scarlet and a few other players pull out the old 2-base Muta here and there, Lambo and stuff as well sometimes. Yeah, if they defend well, are they ahead? Economically, yes, but you've got the tech, right? So as long as you understand how to navigate that situation, right, where you're realizing things like, hey, my first mutas aren't doing damage, I should be not continuing to put every bit of money into building my muta count because I'm just putting myself more all in on something that's not working. So in that scenario, I actually drone harder if I think my mutas aren't going to do damage or they're not doing damage, and I delay building that muta count while I'm exploding into a 4th base economy and the melee and the bane speed, and then I'm hitting a sharp bane speed timing to hit all the drones. So even though they've got queens and spores everywhere, we're getting in pre-lurker, killing a bunch of workers, and then going back to mass muta.
Yeah, that's the position where I struggle a lot in that mid-game scenario when you have a choice between drones, lings, transitioning to roaches, speed banelings into the mineral lines.
Let's hop out and start up another game. While we do, I'll write out what my general rule is for that right now, okay? So mid-game, once mutas are out, right? Are out, an opponent is kind of turtly. They're an EU zerg, you know? Opponent is a bit turtly. What's our rule there? Our rule is very, very simple. For me, it is basically non-stop muta production plus drones. So delay bane speed and +2 melee, right? You can start +1 melee for sure, but don't be like, gotta start bane speed and +2 melee, and then you find yourself with those upgrades finished and you've got like 20 zerglings, 15, 16, 17 mutas, and you're on 45, 50 drones still. It's like, oh, this is shit, you know? We want to, once we've got muta control, it's like just air upgrades and mutas. Just muta production plus upgrades. So attack upgrades.
100% of the time, it's always non-stop mutas, most of the time.
Almost always. Like I said, if our economy is bruised, / we're not doing damage, or we don't think we're going to do damage, right? You scout it ahead and you see like spores and queens building up way ahead. You can always even cut muta production after the first 8 and just go pure drones to like, 4th base 80 drones, right? Then go into bane speed +2 mass muta.
Oh, okay. So there is still a mass muta, but it just happens later.
Yeah, you're just making sure you have a bigger economy. Especially if they build a lot of spores and queens. Those things are very decent, but yeah. I would say normally you want to try to just be aggressive because that's your edge. So most of the time it's like just build the mutas, drone to 70 drones, and then go for it, right? Delay plus bane speed and +2 melee until 3rd is fully saturated and 4th base is on the way, right? Always go for that quick 4th. And then you go, and then you go for a big ass bane speed multi-prong, right? So that would be your standard thing. And I'm writing that all there in the notes. But I mean, you got to look at different scenarios. I'm talking about some general rules, mutas plus drones. So you're both keeping up the muta aggression and bouncing between angles and finding openings, but you're also exploding that economy at the same time, right? There's moments where it's right to keep building zerglings and just go kill them, right? Because they've only got queens and spores, and your lings can actually run into 2 mineral lines and start just killing drones and spores while your mutas are distracting the queens, right? There's a lot of flexibility, a lot of different things we can do, and you're going to find your own flavor of what works. So we'll look at those games as we get there. For now, are you good with Nightshade?
Yeah.
All right, let's go Nightshade. I would say the better maps for you with 2-base muta is like Eternal Empire, right? Big map is pretty good for it. Purity is not bad. So I'll host up. Hopefully Sherm accepts that. I think he's probably just watching on the stream.
Yeah.
Let's go. Obviously,
He said if you want to practice against a 3-base build, he's not as good with that, so he might get someone else.
Oh, that's fine.
But
I mean, if we do have anyone who's willing to help us, guys, we are still looking for a Masters 1 Zerg, someone around that level who's willing to play some games. But for now, I mean, we just changed your build.
Yeah.
And he can do whatever the fuck he wants. You know, any style works. And if he all-ins you, well, it's kind of throwing you in the deep end since your build order just changed. You're going to make mistakes and probably just die a few times. But I have faith. I think you'll be able to learn on the fly. I mean, this is just about getting the new build order down. It's not about winning, right? Just get the new pattern down. We should be good. Awesome.
Cool.
All right, so just visualize it. You're going to go, of course, for that Bane Nest. As soon as you got 50 gas, you know, by 2 minutes 50, straight into the lair and a second gas and just 3 queens. And remember, double inject at the start. All right. Good luck, mate.
Thanks.
We'll see how he does. He'll probably forget some shit. It's quite a lot of changes to his build order, guys. So, yeah. Game 2. I hope some of you are learning some stuff. Thank you, D-Man, for the 44-bit share. Appreciate that. First coaching session. Pig says, let's change everything. It's just a bad build. It's just one of those things where I'm like, well, this build just lacks a point. I'm sure maybe Railgan could have explained, oh, actually, you look for this and this. But anytime someone's going slow mutas off 4 queens while also going for a delayed melee link flood, I'm like, there's no edge. What's the edge? You know, where's the strategic point in this build? It's not. It's you're doing a solid defensive build. The problem is we're basically letting our opponent get ahead in Zerg vs Zerg. So in Zerg vs Zerg, a solid defensive build is actually not, I'm going to build a shitload of defense like we did there. A solid defensive build in Zerg vs Zerg involves stabbing your opponent in the throat. People would say, oh, well, no, you should be able to defend. Yeah, if you're Serral, sure. You can both scout and react constantly. If you're not Serral, your opponent's Zerg. What can Zerg players do? They can build a billion drones or build a billion army at once. And if you're not attacking them, they're going to take advantage of you because you're not going to scout it in time. But if you're doing pointed pressure against a Zerg to make sure they don't get away with surprising you with a billion fighting stuff or surprising you with a billion worker stuff, then you will struggle. So anytime there is a build that sits back and goes as defensive as that, I go, well, we're not going to be able to punish a greedy opponent. People would say, well, okay, but let's say I want to play the defensive style. Okay, sure. Not like that. Not like that, because you need a third base or very quick tech for that defensive build to hinge upon. We are actually doing a very defensive opening here. The problem is, before we were doing it, but our mutas weren't coming out fast enough. We don't have to get, but we got to get either a good production up with the third base or good quick tech up for us to have an advantage. Otherwise, we're just sitting in our corner jerking off with 4 queens. And anytime I see someone open 4 queen in ZvZ, I go, oh no. And you guys have seen me lose to it many times on the ladder. I've now actually memorized a response, which is just build a good amount of drones and then win the game later, because their opening just doesn't have a sharp point to it. The best counterspell is decapitation. It is. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So anyway, I'm just not a fan of people massing queens and sitting on 2 base in their corner. Baneling Nest isn't down yet. He keeps waiting for it. Just fucking put it down. He's so obsessed with the wall off. We're gonna die. He's dead. I mean, this is actually a very crisp 15 drone Ling Bane all in. He didn't send any Lings to scout. And I think it was a gas pool as well. So, cool. We can start talking reactions, which is good. So, basically, your Baneling Nest goes down even quicker, and it goes down in the main base in this scenario. It's cool. You're dead. We can tap and resume. So he did a build order, which basically any gas pool opening, the standard response to that. And let me just check exactly what time he took the gas. Yeah, it was a very standard 17 gas, 17 pool. Thought so. So versus any gas pool, your reaction is Bane Nest ASAP on 50 gas in the main base.
Yeah.
This is how you play safe against that. Especially, I mean, his hatch, I think, was really late. No, his hatch was on time. It was fine. Never mind. But, yeah, they can always do that. So it's always important to just Bane Nest in the main, queens on the ramp, Queens on the ramp once you see, ceilings coming, and you'll be good. Now, he actually went like all in off like 15 drones there. He like had almost no economy. So basically, you can't get a wall off up against someone who goes for a gas pool opening. You'll have to go for it later. And don't worry, he's completely all in. We can just pull all our drones up the ramp if we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll be fine.
So versus like a non-hatch first, which I'm kind of forced. Well, he kind of meted me, so I knew he was gonna do it.
Yeah.
But like, I guess there's a gas pool. I just put the bathing nest in the main.
Yeah, I mean, you scouted the gas, right, after blocking the hatch, or do you not scout in the main?
I saw it was 17-17.
Yeah. If they've gone for the gas, just play safe. Put the bathing nest in the main is the better way to play there.
Okay.
Because even before, with your wall off, no, you were specifically very solid against all-ins. I think you got your queens, your Evo, your Baneliness. Specifically, yeah, your build before was almost like hoping they would do exactly what he just did. Because it was like there was like a blind counter to that. Like that was best possible case scenario. Thing is, build the Baneliness in the main. This is just going to be a more solid way to play if they don't just pull the trigger on you. So yeah, we can host up another map, try again. Do you want to practice that response?
Sure.
All right, so we can ask him to do it again if we want. Same build, please. Just a quick practice of the response. Awesome. All right, sweet as, mate. Good luck.
All right, thanks.
Pig's video seems outdated for Zerg. Oh, you can do whatever you want. I mean, we're coaching a Masters 1 player as Anacyde. We're going to be a lot more critical of what's going on in the game. So if you're hanging out in Gold League, don't be I got to do exactly what Pig's telling this player. Hell's no. This opening he was doing totally fine. If but we're looking at a Masters 1 Zerg wanting to work their way towards Grandmaster. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. If he was going 3 hatch and building 4 queens, I'd be down. I'd be down with that. I'd be like, yeah, a few extra queens, playing a bit defensive, that's fine. But it's just because he's going 2 base Muta and queens, I was a bit, But which video of mine is outdated? Like, which one are we talking? Because ZvZ aggression is the key, is still the best way to learn Zerg versus Zerg, and I will stand by that forever. I think a lot of my 2016 guides are actually still some of the best ways to learn Legacy of the Void. Kind of depends, but I think for ZvZ, that guide is like a let's learn how to Baneling and Zergling, and it's actually really good. The video I made 10 years ago, go back to my YouTube, mate. Those earliest videos are like late 2011 or something, man. They're pretty fucking bad, but didn't make any videos 10 years ago. Did not know how. Drop where it's hot, die fast. Best way to learn. It's best way to learn Call of Duty Warzone. Any game. Yeah, you want more action. Don't go hide in the grass and never learn how to use your guns. You want to fight as much as possible, for sure. A lot of battle royale games don't have like a shooting range or anything where you can test the guns. So you have to just play aggressively to learn the recoil of the guns. I remember getting triggered just when I was playing PUBG because I was like, wait, I got this gun and then it's like different with a certain add-on to the gun or a certain grip or whatever. And then you have to play like 20 games till you get the same gun with the same grip. And you're like, yeah, okay. This is like purposely just making learning hard, right? I think some of the I haven't played a BR in forever. I'm sure some of them have shooting ranges and stuff now. But the idea of like not being able to actually just get a feel for the recoil of a gun consistently, I'm like, oh no. Bay nest in the main.
Oh, in the main?
Yep. It can be sniped otherwise. It's going to send 2 links to scout. I like it. Now, as Overlord scouting, I'm not a big fan of. This could get pushed easily by a queen. It goes south. Lings come out. You've got no idea. You want 1 Overlord there, 1 Overlord there. He had a much better Overlord pattern on the other map. So let's write that one down, eh? Overlord positioning was poor. 2 OVs out front. 1 out front natural. 1 out front third is better. With your positioning this game, your single Overlord could get bullied off path by the queen easily. Second gas in the main, keep droning and just chill and you should be good. Just make another Bane or 2 and just make sure you micro well here, you'll be right. He's got 1 Bane there. Or his Bane's not control group. Oh, his Banes aren't control group. What the fuck? That's huge. Bane's consistently not being control grouped. Whoa, because I actually noticed that in a previous game, but I thought it was a one-off. Oh, my lord. Just realized. Golden. See, now he's hotkeyed the Bane once things chill down for a minute. No, 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 no. It's got to be the moment you make that shit. Yeah. I like the Ling run by. I would have probably gone in the main after killing the drones there, but yeah. He just didn't keep making Lings and Banes here. So he just messed up. Just needs practice with it.
I got too greedy, I think.
Yeah. Evo on the low ground was cute, completely unnecessary. So just scrap the whole wall-off obsession completely, as nice as it is. I think overall you were defending just fine. Just needed to keep making Banes there. I did notice, oh, is that me lagging? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's me.
No, I think it's me. It says attempting to reconnect for me. I think it's my... It's my router, I guess. Must be one at the router port. I think it must be the router port because I was having this issue a little while back. But as long as you can still hear me, we're good. So, yeah, Bane Nest on the high ground. You got to get that second gas a little quicker. That's all. Once you realize what's happening there, and in general, let's just go straight for that second gas. Remember, with the lair, second gas straight away, and you'll just chain those 2 together. So they always happen together. Because if you get that gas mining, it's just going to give you a bit more freedom. Always make a few more Banes.
Should I not counter at all?
You should have countered with your Zerglings immediately. You had Queens on the ramp, 2 Banes up. You should have gone straight around and just counterattacked. And you don't want to headbutt with them. But like I'm talking like the very first wave when he arrived. Because your Zerglings achieve nothing in that scenario, right? Anytime there's Banelings around, all they do is stress you out, making sure they don't get hit by a Bane. But if you send them across, don't headbutt them in and get them killed. But if he pulls home, just run them around the corners of the map. All you need to do is buy time, right? Like, all you're doing is pulling the pressure away. You're already ahead. You're droning going towards Mutas. If he doesn't react, they go in and kill all his drones, right? And fuck him up. So, counterattack immediately with excess Lings. And what's something else we can kind of learn from that is, well, maybe we don't need so many Lings. We could actually have been building more drones. And if we want to try and strengthen this position, you don't have a wall off. Gets a bit awkward. How do we reassert control of the front of the natural? You need to probably put a spine down. So once we see the Ling flood, drop a spine on the high ground. I think maybe a spine
instead of the Evo.
Yeah. Right? And you could drop it on the low ground, up to you. So I'm just going to say drop a spine. And you can judge based on the game, because you might be throwing it down early enough, especially on the low ground on this map. You kind of tuck it in the back there. Then you can move it forward. Now, there's a huge thing. I don't know. How is this game not put me back in? This is very confusing. Let me just check. Are Reddit working? Websites working? All right, I just got my alarm went off saying we've got a warning that coaching is almost out of time. So I think we've got like 8 minutes? About 8 minutes. It just put me back in the game. Did it? No. All right, I'm just going to score screen out of here. Stupid thing. I don't know what's happening with it, man. I swapped routers as well, and it still does this sometimes. Just on the computer I'm playing StarCraft on. So I have no idea what the fuck's happening with that. I changed router ports and stuff. Who knows? Anyways, I'm not sure if it's going to let me back into BattleNet. Hopefully it does. I'm just going to kind of alter for that for now and hop out of that. And while we do that, so banelings weren't being control grouped consistently. Do you use control group stealing? Do you use the alt buttons at all?
I just remapped my main ones to steal.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Yeah, that just should be a bit more of a habit because I noticed it once in the previous game in the messy situation. You didn't. I was like, fair enough. It's a messy situation. Whatever. But I think when you're getting busted, it should be so important. So important. And it should just be something that kind of happens by default. So it should kind of be like morph banes, immediately control click them, steal them onto, I'll put them on the other hotkey, right? Is that something like, what's your control group for Lings? It's 4 and Bane's 5, right?
No, I have a weird one. I have like 5 is my main army, and spacebar I'll put my Banes on.
Oh, okay. Cool. Spacebar is your Banes. All right. I mean, as long as you're used to it, that's fine. Yeah. Just get used to that. And then, I mean, once you've got a spine out front, the natural, you can just dance your Banes around that, right? You can just have 2 Banes. Oh, he's making more. He's got a leveling Bane. Okay, I'll make 3 or 4 extra Banes as backup behind it. But we just need 2 Banes up front dancing around. So if he tries to run in, we can clear it. We got the spine and 2 queens just raining down death. You know, we're all stable. So it just takes a little bit of practice there. And
I think I might have taken my lair too soon.
Did it stop you making more Banes at one point?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Yeah, that might have been an issue as well. In that situation, once you realize it's coming, because you did it after you saw he was flooding Lings, right?
I did it like in the face of danger. I think I just
good way to get ahead. I think the second gas is probably higher priority, right? I don't mind the lair, making sure you're like working your advantage. I think it was okay as long as you're like, okay, next 25 gas into an extra Baneling though. As long as you do that, I actually think it's cool to work that edge. It's just you kind of be aware of the risk you're taking and the fact that you've got to be doubly focused on making your extra Banes as soon as the gas frees up, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome, dude. So we've only got a few minutes left. Let's just talk theory a little bit here to wrap up before we. I'll get you guys to play some more games and practice some more afterwards. So, what are we focusing on? We've got a new build order, and against Gas Pool, it is going to create a very different situation there, where they go for that very quick gas. Now, arguably, yeah, I mean your build has a lot more of a point to it. What's popping into your head in terms of theory, thinking about any problems that are going to arise or situations that you're unclear on? Do you want to just talk about the mid game and how to break people with Mutiling Bane a little bit more?
I think with my build, sometimes I struggle with is like these early pools. Like a 12 pool, I feel like if I underreact, like I need to make the right amount of lings and then they can be even at least. I don't feel ahead with a drone scout. Or if they 13-12 and then they do like good economic damage and transition out, I don't feel ahead after the hold.
If you take a look at your document, go to the problems section. So just underneath that, I've written 12 pool, and then I've written 13-12. I mean, already 13-12 and stuff, these should be relatively simple for you to hold. With some practice, right? If you haven't played against it in a while, you fuck up your response, it's good. But what is your response? So, I mean, let's start with the 12 pool. It's a gasless 12 pool. You get over there, no attempt to take a hatch, go in, spot the pool's done, some things are coming out.
I defend with like a gasless build also, and I just take a quicker third. I use that scouting drone and I drop a third instead.
Can you write it down in dot point form? I'm trying to train you to be a bit more mentally organized. So check out where I've written 12 pool, because this is really good because it's easy to ignore like 1 or 2 small details, and those are usually what trip us up in that sort of scenario. So write it down as you're saying it. So you said full gasless, so you just go it's like 17 pool, something like that.
Mm-hmm. So, yep, I go full pool first.
So pool hatch. Okay, cool.
15 hatch.
Okay.
Early third.
Now, do they ever cancel your natural when you're doing that?
No.
Okay.
I can usually hold with drones and lings.
When's your Overlord build? Before they arrive or after?
Drops around 18. Before.
So that's something that should be really well defined, is like, when do you stop droning? How much lava do you save?
Yeah.
Is it 18 hatch, build an Overlord right after that, and then just save lava?
Mm-hmm.
All right, write that down. Make sure that's defined. That's the sort of little thing which I bet you fuck up sometimes, because I know I do in that sort of situation.
Sometimes
I
make the lings first and then I'm supply blocked because the hatch is late.
18 pool first. The OV can be at 21, says Boolia. We're up against the 12 pool though, Boolia. We've scouted the 12 pool with our drone scout. That's why. So yeah, 18 Overlord makes perfect sense. Then we can build lings and get down there. Do you have to pull drones to help defend that?
Sometimes I pull like a few, yeah.
Cool.
Just to be safe.
Yeah. I think quite often you'd probably, if they micro well, their build's tight. On a small map especially, I think you'd probably have to pull 5, sometimes 6 or 7 drones, depending on how well you micro, how well they micro. Sometimes even just 3 or 4 drones can like attack, bait them away for a few seconds, attack, run away, buy time for your lings to get down. I think you should be fine with a 17 pool. I think you just go
13,
early
12.
third. What do you do with your early third? What's the follow up? Yeah.
Usually, I don't go mutas anymore. I'll go.
So that's probably your problem, right? Because you're going down a different track where like you're not as comfortable with roaches, or.
No, I think versus 12 pool I'm okay. 13-12 is the tough one.
Okay. All right. Write out the response for 13-12 then. Let's write that one down.
Okay, it's.
Down below.
See, this one I'm not sure if I should take gas or not. Pool. It's about 17 pool. Same thing, about 18 hatch. Sometimes I take gas, sometimes I don't. I feel like if I take gas, I'm behind. If I don't, I'm ahead.
I personally, so the important thing is always to be decisive and choose one and work that angle. The technical best way is usually involving gas. I prefer gasless though, because I like it to be simpler for me. I find it too easy for myself to overcommit to like a mixture of end up with a Bane Nest and a Spine and 3 Queens and just a shitty economy because I'm going gas and minerals at the same time. I like it to be real simple. So I'm a big fan of just commit to the mineral version. And as long as I keep that hatch up, we're good. As long as I can get that nice, that quick hatch up. So start with the gasless version. So I'll write a little heading above it. Gasless defense. So we're aware we're making that decision.
Okay.
And a pro gamer would probably always say no, but I especially think since we're sacking a lot of money with our drone scout, we want to be very, very focused in our defense. So if we were to do a gas defense, it would probably involve Bane Nest before Ling Speed, right? So
this is a 13-12 Ling Bling I'm talking about, by the way.
Of course. So with your gasless defense, 17 pool, 18 hatch, fill out the rest of that. What else are you going to focus on? Is it just exactly the same as the 12 pool defense? What's different?
I want to get up probably extra queens, like 3 or 4 queens in this case.
I'd probably go a Spine as well, right?
No, I usually don't make the Spine, but I guess I go for a wall if I see something coming, but usually after the follow up after the 13-12 is they drone like crazy and I have no counterattack potential.
Yeah.
So they have map control and they can drone for free. And I have no choice but the drones. And I cut the Spine so that I can have a little bit more of an economic.
Cool. We'll write it all down. 18 Overlord, etc. Go 4 Queens. I think you have to go 4 Queens for sure, right? Because I would always go a Spine as well, because you're going gasless and it's like shut it down. So I you can add a little note which is like Pig says Spine Crawler is what he prefers, and you can experiment with that. I think it's already in your head. You probably don't even need to write it down. But yeah, basically if you shut it down and then you got your queens out front and stuff, you're solid. Just you should be far enough ahead economically. If you keep your natural up, you don't lose drones, you should just be way ahead economically. Yeah. Enough so that it doesn't matter that he can be a bit more flexible and rush to mutas or something. So as long as we define the next step there, and I think like one of the perfect things to do is like just head towards Evo, Roachhorn, Wolof, and then just try to do a Nidus. You've already got 4 queens really early. Like that's a way of simplifying your game plan a lot.
That's a good call, the Nidus. I like that. Because I usually try to do like our +1 roach timing with speed roaches across, and then they'll have a crazy amount of spines at their nat because they know it's coming, and then they'll have mutas out.
So what I like to write there is like I'll have like the initial response, then I might be like, all right, transition, 2 base, roach queen, nidus, maybe skip roach speed. Skip roach speed question mark. So I don't know what the details will be. You'll figure out what works for you, right? But maybe skip roach speed since we're nidusing 3 gas question mark. I don't fucking know. 35 drones? You know, 28
also,
28 drones,
like
2
Nidus
gas?
is coming when I play this defense, and they'll have lings patrolling everywhere.
Yeah, you can usually just do it out front. So you can still run like some roaches across the map, and you can always start it a little bit far back. Like there's usually somewhere you can go. If you're going towards it real tight, you might find you just hit it fast enough that they're not actually set up, right? So just double check it, because I know if I'm not used to nidusing, I hit it very slow and it gives my opponent too much time to prepare. But if you get like, oh, I've held off, I'm literally taking my first 2 gases after defending 13-12, and I'm already thinking about the Roach Queen Nidus, I feel like you're probably going to hit it 30 seconds, 40 seconds faster, right? And like, especially if you do one of these super all-in, like 28 drone, really fast second gas, like, you know, just crazy all-in versions, those can hit so hard that your opponent is like there with like 6 zerglings and they're trying to make a spire and they got 2 queens and they're trying to take a third and they're like, what the hell, there's a Nidus in my base, you know?
So this is supposed to hit before they get their roach count to start going up, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there's 2 different versions there, right? 3 gas, 35 drones, 28 drones, 2 gas. I would say you probably just go 4 queens. I don't think you'd ever, or at most 5, because you're doing this, like, you got to get that layer going. First 100 gas immediately, roach horn, and then just like, yeah, go straight into it.
Okay, so it's a speedless, upgradeless roach counter with queens.
So I like this in this scenario because your opponent's done some crazy all-in shit, and it's like, if we defend very economically with this like gasless plan, it's nice to just say, okay, let's turn that economic lead into a very sharp counterattack. Is this the best strategic option?
What if they have a...
Not necessarily.
Sometimes they have a follow-up all-in with roaches.
Yeah, this will be good versus that, right? I think, because you're building for your own thing. So even though the Lair and the Nidus aren't useful, I think you'll be pretty safe. Make sure you classify those. Like if they do like a 1 base all-in, you know, it's like, oh, okay, like what the hell? Like this guy took a nat and never even used it. It's like a 16 drone 1 base roach ling follow-up. Like what? You should be able to build spines just to defend that, right? On most maps, or something like that. There's also stuff like, I know against some builds, I would even build an Overlord sacrifice into my build in ZvZ, which people never do. But I remember off gasless openings, I actually really liked mixing in an Overlord sacrifice.
Into the nat or into the main?
I would always go through the main, but kind of depends on your preference, yeah. Sneaking a slowling around the edge of the map sometimes works as well. Try and run that into the natural, see what's up. So those are some cheeky scouting. All right, dude, we got to finish up, but that was a good first sesh. I got to see some of your style. I think get you a bit faster towards mutas. What are we doing? We just took away your safety blanket. So, you know, your opening was so safe before. It was awesome. And anyone who all-in'd you probably had a very bad time with any super fastling bane. We've taken that away. So just be real systematic with working in your responses. It's going to take a while for the muscle memory to settle on it. So try to have some patience with it. Same time, if you're having doubts or things aren't working, be a little flexible, but most importantly, write down the problems and write them down in this document or write them down in your notepad and add them in here before our next session. And then we can go through them. If you lose to a 13-12, if you lose to anything weird and you're not exactly sure how to respond, label those replays, chuck them all in a folder in your replays folder, have replays for coaching or whatever, and then we can kind of check those out and really rapid fire answer any doubts or questions you have about certain situations.
Gotcha.
Sweet as, mate.
Okay.
Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
All right, mate. Well, good luck on the ladder, and I'll catch you next time, mate. Just shoot me an email.